Cisco Intercloud Fabric version 2.21a. My name is Shahid. I'm work for Cisco System as a solution architect. For next 30 minutes or so, I'm going to cover this technical overview on this product. The idea is to help our customers and partner to understand the technical side of this newly introduced product by Cisco. What it does, how does it help customers, and how to deploy, and what to look for during the deployment phase. So I'm planning to do each as 30 minutes one. This will be 30 minutes, close to 30 minutes. The next is deploying in different phases. So because there are a lot many moving parts in this product, which kind of in combination makes ICF. Okay, let's get moving. So architecture-wise, what it is like, I'm sure most of the system admins you have been working as the data center, managing VMware, maybe Hyper-V, KVM, or Zen to manage your private cloud or your hypervisor environment. And you may have also some VMs deployed in the cloud. It may be Amazon, Azure, or Cisco Cloud, or whatever it is. So it can be challenging to manage the one which you have on the private side, having your private IP addresses and configurations, and the moment it's in the cloud is completely out of your control, and it's your public IP addresses. It goes through the internet, and then probably you can get a tunnel from them, but it's not as easy. Of you have a vCenter, you manage everything from there, you deploy the VMs, and for users they have different kind of access. So the ICF is trying to help that and to bridge this gap. So if you're a system admin sitting in the data center, you should be able to manage both VMs, be it in private, be it in cloud. For a user and for admin, this should not make any difference. If your VM is sitting with your IP address 172. something in the data center, once it moves to Amazon Azure, it has the same IP address, and you access the same way, same name, everything is same, nothing changes. So that can be huge benefit to the users and the admins too. Let's see how really this works. As I said before, it's kind of combination of various products working together. In between Intercloud Fabric for Business, that sits, and that will be our topic of today's discussion. There is a provider part which kind of handles the provider side, but we're not going to that. If you're using Amazon Azure, you don't need to worry about that. But as a kind of in the deployment phase, we need to deploy this Intercloud Fabric for Business. All right. So you have your data center or private cloud inside your premise, and there's a provider cloud on the other side. On the provider cloud, there is an Intercloud Fabric provider platform is there. So Intercloud, and that kind of talks to Intercloud Fabric for Business. And the main heart of this ICF is your ICF director. As far as users and admins are concerned, that's where they log in, they kind of interact there, and it kind of connects to the vCenter, which is a VM manager, and then it kind of manages that part. But the other part is the seamless operation between private and public. That is taken care by the tunnel, which is managed by ICF, and that's called your Intercloud Secure Extender. So on the VMware side, or on your data center, you deploy a VM, which is Intercloud Extender, and on the cloud side, you deploy another VM, which is Intercloud Switch, and they make a tunnel. What are the requirements? We're going to cover that later. And then from sitting in the data center in the ICF director, you can manage the VMs in your cloud as if you are managing in your own data center. And all the communication between the ICS and the VMs on the cloud side is encrypted. And also there are services, Intercloud Fabric services. So as I say, that Intercloud Fabric Director is a kind of main component where we'll be spending most of the time. So that's what are the features we have. There is self-service portal. As an admin, you log in. It's kind of you could do your admin stuff, managing those environments. And as an end user or a service user, they log in. They have a different portal, and they can request things as what we have provided as an admin. Then it acts as a IT as a cloud broker, as I said, like admin portal, policy-based cloud management. And there is open API for integration with other cloud management platform, similar to like any other product these days, UCS Director. So, and the tunnel is managed by your ICF-D. At this stage, it might be a bit confusing. Yeah, we'll go very, very detailed and try to make things very clear. So next important part of this product is the tunnel, secure extended tunnel. So as I said that the ICX sitting on the data center and ICS sitting on the public side makes a tunnel, and they work together to make this seamless operation happen. And that's a secure layer 2 extension to cloud. And then flexible application reachability means anytime it can move your any VM anywhere. It doesn't make any difference for the user side. Same IP address, same access, everything is same. So if you use to as SSH or RDP, whatever way, or in application access, it will remain same. On top of that, once in the cloud, probably we are more concerned about the security. As I said, like all communication from the ICS to all the VMs are encrypted, and also we can have inter-VM firewalling through VSG, and also routing. Now, firewalling, this one VSG can do the inter-VM firewalling within the same VLAN, unlike a typical firewall. And routing is for the cloud routing, because if you are thinking about say VM on the left side and VM on the right side belongs to two different VLANs. If you don't have any routing on the cloud side, then the traffic has to go back all the way to private router and then come back up again. So it's gonna take some time to minimize that network latency. You could put a CSR, and that would do the routing for you. Or in Azure case, it is integrated gateway. That's an Azure feature. Now, how the structure looks like? You have your ICF core infrastructure, fundamental technologies and components for ICF infrastructure service functions, and then the core services. These are integrated, and on top of that, you can have extended services from Cisco or third party. Still, the product is just at initial stage, but we're expecting a lot of other Cisco and also third party partners will integrate their products into the ICF. And the bottom line is, which is the top, is any app on any cloud, cross cloud application portability and mobility. It makes it so simple that you wouldn't be making a difference from cloud or Azure, Amazon, or it is your your enterprise cloud environment or your hypervisor environment. So on the infrastructure side, we have ICFD, as I said, that's a portal, and the CNAC is a workhorse that sits behind that. At this code, a lot of the tasks done by PNSC, the provisioning VM, moving the VM, converting the format from your VMDK to the AMI or VHD. All these hard works are done by PNSC, and ICFD is just the web portal. Now, and the secure communication, this is ICF for enterprise part, and on the other side is their provider one. What are the services? It's networking. It's seamless networking, I would say. So if you have a IP of 192.168 in your data center, once it moves to Amazon Azure, the same IP address, same name, everything remains the same. security, of course, we have concern about the security in the data, your public cloud side. So all the, as I said, communications are encrypted. So that's next is VM portability. That's probably one of the biggest thing. Workload, you can move the VMs anywhere, anytime. Management and visibility, that's one place management for ICF D portal, and automation. External services still on the way, so we're not going to cover on that part, but we'll cover the core services. Okay, this is kind of, I made this slide, so I try to visualize this, that how really it is working together. Because when I went through the product initially, I was not sure that, how really does it fit in. Okay, there are many components, they work together, what really does and which part does what job. So this is to describe an imagine your link from your enterprise cloud. So on the left side is your, say, enterprise data center. On the right side is Amazon cloud. Now on your left side, what do you have? You have your vCenter, you have your ICFD, means once you deploy it, then you deploy your PNSC, ICS, and CVSM. On the right side is your ICS, is switch, CSR, and VSG. That's the optional services component. Now, probably before the ICF gets in, you have your already virtual center and ESX hosts. Now you deploy, first thing you deploy is an VM, which is OVA template you download from the Cisco website and deploy it. That VM has got two things. One is ICFD, the web portal, and there is PNSC, Prime Network Services Controller, in one box. Then you do the part of infrastructure deployment. In that stage, it deploys a CVSM, Cloud VSM, it call it, but there's an XS1000 VSM. You can deploy in HA mode or single. In our lab, we're going to do in a single standalone mode. So that's nothing but your Nexus 1000V, and that manages all the networking for ICF. Next stage is building the cloud link to Amazon and Azure. So you deploy a ICX at that stage. You create the VPN tunnel, which is SSL VPN, and then so that tunnel is SSL. There are different VPN algorithm you can choose, and then ICS on the other side. You deploy a intercloud switch, and after that you can deploy your apps from there to VMs from there. Now, deploying these VMs is same as deploying as your from your vCenter. Now, if you deploy a VM in the vCenter, you probably need to cater for a few things. Number one, which cluster it goes, which network it goes, which storage it goes, right? If you're deploying the VM in the cloud, you probably don't have any control on the host, right? It goes anywhere where Amazon and Azure choose to. Now, but you have control on the networking, because that's your networking, and also the naming. What kind of naming and it will be there? That's called system policy, we call it. And based on that, user can request, okay, that's an app VM or web VM that goes in Amazon, Azure, and it kind of deploy there. Again, what I mentioned before, that if you're not doing any routing on the cloud side, that packet has to go all the way back to the enterprise data center. And also the security, if you want to separate them tenant wise, you can use VSG, virtual security gateway, or VCSR for Amazon, and VCSR for your routing. It's a very basic routing between the VMs. For this to happen, we need a port group which you call ICF management, and another port group called trunk. Trunk, you have to have the promiscuous mode accepted, accept mode, and also there are some settings. I'll cover that, like if you're having two VNICs in a vSwitch or DVS environment, you have to do some settings there. So next one is Azure, exactly same thing except integrated gateway. So I'll go, it's pretty quick. There's no difference here. Only thing is VSG, and then your integrate gateway is a Azure component, but you manage it through PNSC. Use cases, it can be like, as I said before, like deploying the VM to the cloud with local network or system configuration. Now, ICF doesn't deploy VM into your vCenter or your local private cloud. If you want to do that, then you need to use something like UCS Director or something like that. But this is mainly for managing the VMs in the cloud. But you can bring those VMs back into your data center, and once you bring it back, you can also push it back to the your cloud. So portability is there. It tests the connectivity, networking, especially if you have access, the way you access from your private site. Then you can move the VM, as I said, from public to enterprise, enterprise to public, and then the services, firewalling and routing. Okay, now this is kind of coming into the requirement side. Like if you are interacting with cloud, then you need certain access. AWS and Azure works a different way. So AWS by default you have no access. So you have to attach, they call it policy. Like you have to have full EC2 access policy. You have to have full S3 access policy if you are deploying Windows image, and you have to have AWS Marketplace if you are deploying CSR. So you have to attach those things manually. I'll show that once I deploy it. Azure is standard. Azure account will give you everything, and for routing we use integrate gateway, we call it. What are the ports you need to open? Pretty much two ports, 22 and 443. 22, and if you want to even kind of narrow it down, you can do it from the source is PNSC 22 and 443, and ICX is 443 outbound. RDP is for troubleshooting. Like if you say have deployed the VM, there is no VM console in the cloud. So how do you check? Like you're not able to go into the RDP to the VM. So you could probably make a public one and see that if that works. That's just for troubleshooting. That's not required for this product. Again, if there's a firewall in your internal network, the ICF PNSC has to have access to that DNS, NTP, LDAP, and virtual center. That's kind of obvious. So those ports needs to be open from the ICFT and your PNSC to those components. Now let's cover the system requirements quickly. The infrastructure right now for us is the VMware here. It's 5.1 and 5.5 is supported. Probably 6 will be supported later in October. This is mid of September 19 today, so it's not yet supported. Port groups, as I said, we need 2 management. All the management, ICF management would get from here, and the ICF trunk. All the VLANs extend to the public from private. The access level, you need full admin access to the virtual center because you're going to deploy, move VMs, you're going to do a lot of the admin stuff here. Intercloud Fabric host VM, as I mentioned before, the first box we're going to deploy through the OVA template, which have PNS in ICFT. The requirement is it's laid down on the Document Cisco website, so you can probably find it there. It's a pretty big box, 350 gigabyte of space. Out of the 200 gigabyte is used for scratch disk. Like once you move the template, VM template from your enterprise to the public, so what it does the conversion, because your VM is VMDK, but Amazon use AMI, and Hyper-V, Azure uses VHD. So you have to convert that, right? So if you have 50 gigabyte disk, it will take 100 gigabyte on the scratch disk to convert that and send it back, upload that. And it does the same thing once you're returning back. So if you're returning back from Amazon, it will convert that disk from AMI to VMDK and then send it to the virtual center. And then you have ICX, which is a small one, 2 gigabyte, 2 V CPU, and this is on your private side. And CVSM, Nexus 1000V. IP addresses, what you need, these are the IP addresses you would need. ICF host VM, you put it statically. ICF director, you put it statically during the installation of the OVA. PNSC, static IP. CVSM, it gets from the pool. It is on the second stage when you're going to make the infrastructure deploying. At that stage, it gets from the management pool. ICX and ICS also gets from the management pool once you are deploying the cloud. I'll cover all those stage in detail with demonstration. And then also statically you assign to the VSG CSR. For CSR you need 2 and for VSG 1. And also integrate gateway gets 1 IP from the pool. On top of that, if you are deploying VMs, those VMs will need some kind of IP, and there may be different VLANs, so their IP subnet must gateway. So in our case, demonstration will have 2 app and web VLAN. And these are the requirements from the cloud side. So you can see that C3 to extra large is for the ICS, which is a pretty big box. And then rest are in the laid down on the document. Supported OS at this release, as you can see, we have Windows 2008, R2, CentOS 6.2, RHEL 6.0, 6.5, 64-bit. So for almost the same. Again, each version will change. They'll add probably support for more OS. So keep looking on that, release notes on that versions. All right, so here you go. This is a kind of short technical overview. I hope it was useful, and keep watching the next sessions where we're going to deploy the ICF. Thank you.